Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Ken, and today we're here to review and talk about Late Nights with the Devil.
Late Night with the Devil. Yeah, we checked this one out on Shudder.
We did. We got Shudder 7-day free trial.
7-day free trial. We didn't get to go to the theater to see this one. So, if you're like us, definitely check it out on Shudder.
Yeah, but look, before we get into it, hit the like button if you haven't already. We would appreciate that. And then subscribe to the channel. We do movie reviews. We do TV reviews. We do fun entertainment live streams every single Monday night where we cover movie news and all kinds of stuff. So if you like that kind of thing, hit the subscribe button. And then leave us a comment down below. Did you watch this movie? What did you think of it? We've definitely got some thoughts. Let us know in the comment section below. Okay, Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah.
This is a movie. I tried to look up the directors, and I wasn't too familiar with them. This is directed by Cameron Carnes and Colin Carnes. So I guess they're brothers.
Okay.
Because they got the same last name. And like I said, I'm not too familiar with any of their work, but this is what I would call, it's not exactly a found footage movie, but it's found footage adjacent. So you're pretty much watching the movie through the perspective of like an audience like they would in the 70s watching this late night talk show.
It's like you're watching it on TV.
It's like you're watching it on TV. But they also cut back to like backstage footage as well. So you're also getting that viewpoint as well. Okay, well, let's just get in. What did you think of the movie?
Yeah, so, I feel like this one it got a lot of hype.
Yeah.
So I was looking forward to seeing this one, even though, horror's not necessarily like my genre, I would say.
Your jam.
Yeah. So, but overall, I would say that I really enjoyed this one. I felt like it was pretty original and felt different.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, overall, I had fun with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically this late night talk show host. He's the equivalent of like a Conan O'Brien, like in the 90s. He's not the late night guy that goes on at 11:30, but he's the guy that goes on at like 12:30. And he's trying to get bumped up to that next time slot. He's trying to take that next step in his career. And he basically plans this night on Halloween nights where he brings in all of these spooky people, exorcists, and mediums and all that kind of stuff to create this like Halloween spooktacular. And things start to go wrong.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got David Dismalchian, I think is his name. He's the lead talk show host guy in the movie. And I thought he did a really good job. His performance was super solid.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like to me, he was the only one that I like even remotely recognized.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. I don't know how many times he's been like the lead of a movie.
Yeah,
before.
I don't know. I don't know if he had a familiar face because of this movie and the promotion with it, but I feel like everybody else was pretty unknowns. At least for me, they were.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like that he did a great job. But you're not. You didn't say what you thought of the movie.
Well, I was working myself up to it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the movie a lot. My biggest criticism of it didn't drag. I don't feel like it dragged, but it also just felt like an overly long VHS segment, which I know you're not as familiar with that franchise, but it's basically like anthology style, kind of in the same style. The only reason I compare it is when they started to get into some of the supernatural stuff with the special effects, it started to feel like very similar to like a sequence on one of the VHS films. And then it just started to feel like just a long version of one of those segments.
Gotcha.
I feel like it could have been shortened a bit, but not that I felt that it was long. But I enjoyed it overall. I thought it was really good. It had good atmosphere. It built, good tension throughout. And I've heard some people say it was like it's kind of a slow burn. I don't know if I'd call it exactly a slow burn because I feel like there's enough that happens throughout to keep you like hooked and engaged the whole time.
Yeah.
The big stuff happens towards the end. Yes, it does. But there's still a good amount of stuff that happens throughout the movie.
Yeah.
I thought it just had a really nice, creepy atmosphere to it.
Yeah, it did. I thought that, I don't know. I don't think you mentioned this earlier, but, it is set in the 70s.
Yeah.
And so it definitely picked up on the, that time era. Like it was very 70s. And again, I just felt like it, to me, it felt original. I know you said that it was like the VHS movies. I don't know.
Only I guess stylistically, really.
Yeah, I just for me, like in the beginning you have this like narrator, I guess. And he kind of just like gives you the lowdown on everything to like nicely set you into the story.
Yeah, which is different than like most found footage, because usually in a found footage movie you just get into it and you have to pick
Right,
up on things as you go, whereas this one like sets you up. So
right,
that was kind of nice.
which is why I think that it is original.
Yeah, yeah,
Because to me it just felt different. And again, I'm not the biggest horror fan. I haven't seen all of the different, horror niches or whatever you want to call it. So maybe this isn't original. I don't know. But to me it was, and it felt like something different that I hadn't seen before.
I feel like most like horror fans, I haven't really like watched anybody's review because I don't like watching that, but I feel like the chatter has been that it is a really original movie, and even amongst like the most dedicated horror audience.
Yeah, and something else that I appreciated about the movie is, when I saw the trailer for it, they pretty much just show the girl and her being like possessed or whatever. And so to me, I thought that was going to be basically a huge part of it, which it is, but there's like that doesn't come until later, and there's like all this other stuff that happens before that.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit. It's kind of is structured almost like an anthology, because you have these like 3 parts, and they all like converge together at the end. But yeah, the girl is the last part, and then there's 2 parts that come before that.
Yeah.
So that is interesting.
Yeah, I just thought it was cool. It pretty much just takes you through like an evening on the talk show. Like you said, a Halloween spooktacular that he's trying to get get his ratings up, because he's kind of, losing that momentum, that popularity, I guess.
And there's other plots involved, like he recently lost his wife and things like that. So that kind of plays into it a little bit. I didn't really expect them to go into like the Bohemian Grove stuff, which is like a real life place in California that has involved like cult ritual activity amongst like politicians and actors and stuff for like the past 150 years. I didn't think they'd dive into that, because they are at the end of the day Hollywood. So it almost felt like they were jabbing at themselves a little bit with that kind of stuff, and it does get a little into the political realm at parts of the movie. But all that stuff just like that taps into like some of my greatest fears, like the cult stuff, witch stuff, like
Right.
exorcisms. Like that's why The Exorcist is my favorite horror movie of all time. That does get under my skin and does kind of freak me out. So I feel like it worked for me on that level.
See, I didn't have much knowledge about this real life cult or whatever. That's
Don't
still,
look it up. It'll give you nightmares.
it's still, I don't know what I think about it. I don't know if I necessarily believe that it's true. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know about like the magnitude of it. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that, like you said, it was very like atmospheric. It had this kind of creepy vibe to it. I felt like everything like looked good. At the end, it does kind of go like a little out there with its effects or whatever. But I felt like I don't know, I felt like it matched well, I guess, with the movie. Like it felt in par with it. It didn't feel out of place or anything. And when you watch the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about with the finale or whatever. But I will say one thing, that my one issue with this movie was the ending. It just went a little too out there for me. And I hate when, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I just hate when they take a movie that's doing just fine and doesn't really need that extra like WTF stuff.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of like go all weird and stuff. And
then it almost feels like it's designed to leave you hanging and be looking online the next few days as to what does it all mean. It gets real heavy into like the symbolism of certain things that were happening throughout the movie.
Which I don't mind, like the leaving you hanging, like trying to interpret what the movie meant and stuff. That doesn't necessarily bother me, because I feel like that is one of the fun things about watching movies is like, what did it mean? I like that kind of stuff. But for me, it just kind of, again, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll just say it gets kind of a little too weird for me. Kind of goes out in left field a little bit too much when I felt like it didn't need that. And I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily loved the finale of it.
I agree.
But overall, I still feel like it was a good movie, and I'm glad I watched it.
And I mean, that goes back into what I said about it. It didn't drag,
Yeah.
but I do feel like you could have condensed this down to like 45 minutes, and it would have been just a really sharp, like awesome, like horror segment on like a VHS or a horror anthology or something.
Gotcha.
But I do want to bring up the little girl in the movie. I thought she was really great. Like next to the David Dastmalchian, that lead actor in the movie, I'd say she was the best performance. Like she really kind of creeped me out.
Yeah,
when
she
we
was
were
creepy.
watching it. Like
I mean,
even the
girls
subtle
are
stuff where
creepy.
she was just kind of looking around, or
Yeah.
she was being nice when she was looking at the camera instead of looking at them. Just little things like that you would pick up on throughout it.
Yeah.
I just thought it was super creepy and effective.
She was creepy.
So I thought
she
she was
kind
good.
of, she almost gave me like Megan vibes. She kind of looked like Megan.
With the way she was dressed, yeah.
Like, well, yeah, and just like she was almost like robotic. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that
Like-
freaked me out because it was like,
Just like smiling all
you could
creepily
tell
and-
she was the demon, and the demon was trying to act like her, almost. And he was trying to act like his idea of what she would act like. Like she wasn't all there because she wasn't herself. So that's the kind of stuff that kind of freaks me out
Gotcha.
when I watch it. But yeah, really effective movie. Are you ready to give it a score?
I'm ready.
Slap a score on it. What would you give it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna make you go first.
So I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay, look, I'll give it the same. I thought it was a really, my only gripe is that I just think it was a little bit too long. But I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I thought it was a really effective horror movie, and maybe the best horror movie I've seen this year. Be right up there with Immaculate, I would say.
Yeah.
So,
For sure.
But thank you all for watching our review of Late Night with the Devil. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, and follow us on our Instagram account down below in the description. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.